Joining us on the phones right now, the Deputy Press Secretary for the RNC, our good friend Mike Joyce. Mike, good morning. How are you today?
Hey, good morning. Doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Great to have you on the program. I guess we can start off with Beto O'Rourke. He has he made headlines during the debate. His polling numbers haven't worked out well for him. But, Mike, it seems as though he is confirming exactly what Republicans have been talking about for years now, that Democrats, at the end of the day, if you put them in charge, they're not content with just background checks. They want to go after any kind of handgun or long gun that they don't like.
Yeah, it's really something else. You know, it's been funny every time a moderator would ask someone like Julian Castro, you know, what do you say when you hear Republicans say that you guys are moving forward with socialism in your party, or if you guys are trying to take guns away? And Julian always says, well, those are nothing more than Republican right-wing talking points. Well, I think we have our answer, and now we know they're not actually Republican talking points. They've just been the Democrat talking points all along, and now we're just finding out that it is exactly what they intend to do. But I guess the good news for now is at least we know for sure that Beto O'Rourke will not be running for Texas Senate this time around, because I think we all understand that if you say that you're here to take everyone's guns, that's pretty much a non-starter in the great state of Texas.
Yeah, I think his political career in Texas, I think it was done well before this last debate. I think it's absolutely dead now. What, other than Beto O'Rourke, what did you take away from this last debate among the Democrats?
You know, I think we've really noticed that they really haven't learned any lessons from 2016. You know, I think some of the biggest blunders from Hillary Clinton's team in 2016, you can point to her saying that we're going to put a lot of coal miners out of work. Democrats now are saying, why stop the coal miners? We can fire everyone in the oil and gas industry. If you work in nuclear energy, we can put you out of a job too. And then, of course, Hillary's basket of deplorables comment, couldn't help but notice that Pete Buttigieg called half the country racist, saying that anyone who supports President Trump is also inherently racist. So they clearly haven't learned any lessons from 2016, and I don't really understand how they're going to take a message to rural America and middle America with the same things, doubling down essentially on what Hillary Clinton said in 2016, just basically threatening to put people out of work and alienating people by calling them racist for supporting President Trump.
Yeah, there's some new polling that has come out that's shown Elizabeth Warren continuing to gain on Joe Biden. Joe Biden kind of slipping in the polls. Do you think this is a 2-3 person race among the Democrats?
I think it's still early. You know, there can always be a surprise in the Iowa caucuses. You never know really what's going to happen until we get to Iowa, it seems like. But, you know, at the end of the day, our perspective is still the exact same. We're going to be very excited about whoever their nominee is, because they're going to have to be on record supporting a policy and agenda that the American people overwhelmingly reject. And some of these things, I don't see a pathway to go back to the center from things like free health care for illegal immigrants, this dangerous open borders agenda that Democrats are pushing, and this very socialist agenda that they have that calls for banning all fossil fuels. I don't understand how you can stand in the energy capital of the world, that is Houston, Texas, and tell a bunch of Texans that you're going to be out of a job very soon here if I become the next president of the United States. But it doesn't stop them from saying that Texas is in play and Texas can be a blue state this time around. But, you know, it's clear that they don't have the right message to win in 2020.
How worried? I know we obviously, you know, since we're here in Texas, we talk a lot about Texas. Arizona has been making some news. How confident are you guys in Arizona remaining red?
You know, we feel very confident about it. I think it's evident when you see President Trump holding a rally in Albuquerque. He's very seriously looking at expanding the map. And it's easy to see why in a state like New Mexico. They have a lot of gun ownership in the state. A lot of folks work in the fracking sector and oil and gas. So there is a message there. And then also to the Hispanic community in New Mexico, with the economics that we have right now, record low unemployment for the Hispanic community. Hispanic home ownership is at an all-time high right now. There's a lot of things that we can offer the Hispanic community, and I think that you'll play out in Arizona, and you'll see it play out in places like New Mexico too, and a lot of other places where typically Republicans do not win in a presidential cycle. I think President Trump is actually still welcoming new members to our party to the state. And you've seen the figures come out from the El Paso rally, from the rally in Albuquerque, a very high totals of registered Democrats attending these MAGA rallies all over the country. So unlike the Democrats, we still seem to be welcoming more people into our party as we speak.
Well, when you look at the, I guess it would be the ground game, and you know, one of the things that you guys are raising money for at the RNC is to get the message out and to get people to get out and vote all over the country, to find new Republicans and to find new voters. How do you, when you look at a state like New Mexico, which you know, it's kind of, I don't want to call it a toss-up state, but you know, they've had a Republican governor, they've had Democrat governors. They kind of go back and forth, it seems. How much interest does the RNC itself put into a state like New Mexico?
Quite a bit. We actually had announced through our Trump Victory team the boots on the ground that we're going to have in the state. And we don't really take anything for granted. The entire ground game that the RNC has across the country, it's set up in a way so that we don't necessarily just come in, fly a bunch of people in from D.C., come to your neighborhood, and then send people out and go hit doors. It's people that live in the communities all over the country. So if you have someone who lives out in Lubbock and they join our field team in 2018, and there's not a staffer from the RNC on the ground in 2020, they still have all the training. They were trained as staff, so they can go forward. And if you're trying to get that stop sign put up at the end of their street, they're still around. So we have that all over the country, whether or not we have paid RNC staff on the ground everywhere. And a place like New Mexico, it's obviously a little bit newer for us to be there right now, but I think you'll see a permanent ground game that won't go away now moving forward with the boots on the ground we have there. And, you know, luckily, thanks to this historic fundraising we keep having, we just had our biggest month of August for fundraising in non-cycle election years for either national party. So things seem to be going very well for us right now. We feel very confident going forward.
Other than voting, how can the average person get involved?
If you just go to GOP.com and go to our Action Center, we'd love to get you involved. Or if you want to get plugged into the president's campaign, you can go to DonaldTrump.com and get plugged in with the president's campaign.
All right. Mike Joyce, it's always a pleasure to visit with you, and I'm sure we'll talk again pretty soon.
Always a good time, Chad. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. It's Mike Joyce with the RNC here on the Chad Hasty Show.